The president, meantime, is also trying to put a positive spin on his interactions with Russian leader Vladimir Putin. And correspondent Kevin Corke reports tonight from New York on the increasingly difficult effort to save face.
On a morning when President Obama had a rare meeting with Cuban President Raul Castro, it was rare cooperation with Russia that set the tone for the day. The White House said last night's face-to-face meeting with Vladimir Putin gave the administration much-needed clarity about the Kremlin's efforts to fight ISIS and its expanding role in Syria.
We are prepared to work with all countries, including Russia and Iran, to find a political mechanism in which it is possible to begin a transition process.
A process the president hopes will lead to the end of the brutal regime of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. But while the White House has repeatedly called for his immediate ouster, British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond told me today a more measured approach with Russia leading the way is the safer path forward.
Well, we would all like to see Assad gone as quickly as possible. But the Russians have to be involved in a sustainable solution in Syria. They already have a significant role on the ground. They have leverage over the regime, which frankly the rest of us do not have.
More leverage and more reason to prop up Assad. Syria and Russia have military and economic ties dating back decades. So even as the regime crumbles under the weight of war and millions of its citizens flee, Russia is promising to protect Syria's embattled leader under the guise of fighting ISIS.
Russia has also stated that they are not only there to fight ISIL, but they are also in Syria to support the Assad regime. And that is not very constructive.
Even more troubling for the U.S.-led coalition is Russia's intention to forge its own regional network to combat ISIS. The Kremlin hoping to build partnerships with Iran, Iraq, and Syria while reaching out to Jordan and even Saudi Arabia, which has long-standing ties to the U.S. This, as the Wall Street Journal reports, the Russians also plan to fly reconnaissance missions over Iraq. And while some GOP lawmakers have said the administration's strategy in Syria opened the door for Russia, the criticism isn't limited to the opposition party. Former Obama cabinet member and Democratic presidential frontrunner Hillary Clinton says the Obama strategy has failed.
Well, we got to deal with where we are right now. It's obviously now a different set of circumstances, and what the Pentagon has been doing hasn't worked.
And while ISIS maintains its grip in Syria, Afghan forces have been locked in a fierce battle with Taliban insurgents in the city of Kunduz, with U.S. airstrikes hammering Taliban positions and clearing the way for government forces to attempt to reclaim the country's sixth largest city. And new tonight, Bret, Fox News can confirm that a top official at the Pentagon responsible for military relations with Ukraine and Russia is stepping down. Evelyn Farkas leaving after 5 years on the job at the end of next month. And that is certainly bad news for the administration. Bret?
Kevin Corke outside the United Nations. Kevin, thank you. And just in the past few minutes from the Pentagon as well, news that the U.S. is pausing the effort to move new recruits, Syrian rebels, from Syria, saying they'll continue to provide support for the current forces on the ground and train, but they are pausing the effort. How long that lasts, we don't know, in this volatile situation on the ground in Syria.